The pledge. Excuse me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me. Somebody send me a text. Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Okay, and we'll go with public comment. Is there any public comments? Is there any public comments? Asking one last time, there's no public comment. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, approve the minutes from the July 5th, 2016 regular meeting. Can I have a motion to do so? Motion by Anne Marie. Second by Nicole. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-0-1, and please note Al's abstention. All right, at this point, I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda approval of the minutes from the July 18, 2016 Ordinance Committee meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, second by Len. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 5-0-2. And note Karen and Al's abstention. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the Ordinance Committee meeting on Monday, July 18, 2016. Have a motion to do so.
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, second by Len. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-0-1. And please note Al's abstention. Okay. Perfect. Item number 5, first Selectmen's report. Met with Town Engineer Don Smith and Diane Stroman, Vice President of Team Incorporated, to continue discussions about an adult daycare program being run out of the top floor of the community center. We'll be looking at the potential of a large state grant to help fund the idea. Substantial work will be needed to be done to the building, with all of the funds coming through this state grant. I hope to have Diane at our next meeting, along with Don, to provide an update and answer questions that this board may have prior to any votes or formal action being taken. Later tonight, we'll hear a very detailed update and review of the current status of the roads in the town of Seymour from Town Engineer Brian Asteriak. This information will be used to help us to prepare for the potential bond issue that I would like to see voted on during the November election. I'm working with staff to produce a timeline that meets the requirements for this vote, and will provide more information as it comes to me. There will be a need to hold at least one special meeting for the Board of Selectmen and one town hearing on this at a date to be determined. Year-end budget work continues. We're still in the process of finalizing the numbers, but are estimating that the town will finish with a surplus again this year. We don't expect to have solid numbers for a few more weeks still, but I'll provide updates as they come in to me. Work on the Geary parking lot is just about complete. We expect that to be done by the end of the week. Brian has been working very hard on that and bringing it in under budget. We're going to go from 72 spots to 96 spots, which is certainly a great thing. So anybody that goes up there knows that that parking lot was a mess. So the town will be moving up its normal work to refresh stop bars and crosswalks that is normally done in the month of August to late July. This will allow us to address some of the newer roads that need to be completed. Public Works, in conjunction with Brian, will be putting a plan in place to make sure that all the needed work is completed prior to the start of school. Myself, along with Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton and CCM Executive Director Joe DeLong, will be representing Connecticut at the inaugural convening of the Global Parliament of Mayors Conference, to be held September 10th through the 12th in The Hague in the Netherlands. Mayors representing cities large and small from north and south, developed and emerging communities, will convene to launch a new platform for cities to address global challenges. This new platform will leverage the collective political powers of cities to move from mayors talking about issues to instead crafting real solutions. I'm very honored to be given this opportunity to attend a worldwide event of this magnitude, and I'll provide more information to the board as it becomes available to me. There will be no cost to the taxpayers of the town of Seymour for me to attend this event. So that closes my first Selectmen's report. Okay, item number 6, discussion with Town Engineer Brian Asteriak regarding roads. Mr. Asteriak. That's fancy already. You're off to quite a start.
think he just rolled the dice again.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, let me give a little, before Brian starts. As we know, and Stefan, this is new to you, but 2 years ago, we asked, at that time, Jim Galligan to do a report and give us an idea on the condition of the roads, and more importantly, to give us a plan as to how we would move forward over the next couple of years. I asked Brian to take that idea and drastically expand on it, so Brian and his staff actually reviewed every single road in the town of Seymour, and we asked for a much more comprehensive plan that we will review every year going forward to make sure that we are properly maintaining our roads. This will be a combination of new road work as well as existing repair work and maintenance work to the roads on there. So, Brian, I'll turn it over to you then.
Take care of the first page.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much. But like you said, I approached this to try and come up with some sort of long-term solution, something that could be updated on an annual and regular basis, and ultimately provide some long-term recommendation. It all started with some sort of baseline. I was trying to strategize how this all would work, and ultimately what I came down with is we really just need to know what the conditions of the roads are on a global basis. So, in order to do that, me and my team went out and we went to every single road, like what said, a total of 280 roads, approximately 82 miles, and we were able, with the information that I'll go over in a second, to prioritize and estimate the cost of the immediate needs. So, just to take you through our methodology, and all this is in that report there, but I'll just take you through the major points. We created a report card for every road. Pass this around. And we went through that, every road, and we filled out that report card for every single road or section of road, and I'll pass this around. This is the same thing that you guys have, only in Appendix B, we have 305 report cards. And I've only made one copy of that. But when we were out there, we observed, obviously, the cracks, the potholes, heating, surface deficiencies. We looked at the curbing, what type of curbing was it? Was it in decent shape with a crack? Was it doing what it's supposed to do? Drainage flow patterns. We looked at the drainage system, if there was one, the conditions, the catch basins, the pipes, and ultimately if there's any additional catch basin or drainage system that the road would benefit from. And ultimately, we took all this information and we got the roadway to a grade, just like it's made through a grade. And the American Society of Civil Engineers does this to our infrastructure every year, and they have a grading system that they draft, and there's some very detailed explanations of these, but these are just the short ones, exceptional, good year, report, and failing. So once we got through all of that, this is tough to see, there is a smaller version of this in your packet. We were able to identify all the different roads and grade them. And this is the entire, a map of the entire map of Seymour, sorry. And just quickly, it goes through on the color coordinated process of what A, B, C, D, and generally, we determined that C roads or worse needed some sort of business. And obviously, technically, you can keep breaking this down. There could be a C minus, a C, and a C plus road. But just in general, we focus on the C road. And approximately half of our roads fall within C road. So if we had an unlimited budget, of course we don't, we're talking probably between $35 and $50 million to get all our roads up to par, which obviously we cannot. So we focused on getting a prioritized list of around $10 million. And that's also in your, I skipped over. So at the end of your list, you have, at the end of your handout, you have spreadsheets. And those, there's two sets of spreadsheets. They both contain the exact One is every road categorized in grade, A through F, and one is categorized just by alphabetical order. From that, we were able to prioritize and come up with figure one, again, in your handout. And these are the ones that we are recommending that we focus on in the coming years, whether that's 1 year, 2 years, anyway. I broke it up into 3 to 3.5 million segments. And this is just the conversations I had with Mr. Miller. Some of the methodology that we use, there's certainly roads down in, say, the third section that are a little worse off than the first section. And the reason for that is things like Bungay Road and Mountain Road, which are used a lot more than these smaller roads, take a larger priority to get replaced. I also included a lot of the downtown roads here, because they certainly need it in the face of the town. But in general, a lot of these can be moved around. Figure 2 is a list of roads that are in decent shape. They're mainly Cs, and they're on the higher end of Cs, they're C+. And these are just ones that can benefit from crack sealing, some possible pothole repairs, the things that would really benefit greatly to increase the integrity of the road and the longevity of the road this season. So that's a quick summary of the plan. I think that it's a great idea. I think the greatest advantage of this is just a baseline to start with. We can update this at a very reasonable cost every single year to give you guys the information you need to budget and fees that we're going to spend. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I asked Brian to keep this, at least this presentation part, short. I mean, there's plenty of reading and review for everyone to do. So what general questions does anybody have, at least initially, for Brian? Everybody's...
I think it seems pretty thorough, straightforward.
What?
Just, I know we all have, I'm sure, our own anecdotal ideas of what probably should be prioritized, and I'm certainly no expert, but I know one road in particular that's very heavily trafficked, that has always been a problem, at least for the last several years, is Holbrook Road. And I know I think it's rated as a C here, so I was hoping you could kind of explain it, because that's always been...
Like, I didn't spend a lot of time on Holbrook because
Yeah, we already have an application in with the lot set program, which we're pretty far along for a $2 million repair to that, which will probably happen at this point in the spring of 2017.
And what is that grant?
Lot SEP, it's a new way that we're handling the federal transportation funds through the COG. It's less cumbersome.
So it's federal money so we don't have to worry about the state shop. No, that's good, it's good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
and there's obviously sections of it that need a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, we looked at it, but we didn't really prioritize it just because.
Yeah.
like, there was other
That's a
things.
good explanation.
Yeah, Holbrook and Rimmon, same thing. I mean, that's in the hopper. They should be going out the bid in the next 2 weeks, I would expect, on Rimmon, so I didn't want Brian to waste time on those roads.
Perfect.
I also didn't pay attention to, didn't focus on the state roads.
Well, yeah. And take care of the costs.
So, well, okay, so what the goal of this was, is, we had when we built the debt service models with the refinancing things that we did, we looked at a $5 million bond issue next spring. That's how it's designed, that's how it's built. We looked at about 1.5 million in building repairs, and we saw that report from the building committee 2 meetings ago, and we're looking at 3.5 million in road repairs. That's why Brian has that initial A section, the 2017 section at 3.5. Those are Brian's recommendations, but I want all of you to go home. I want you to review the 2017, 18, and 19 lists and come back with your recommendations and suggestions as to how we would break it up. But in the 2017 year, we're looking at, the target is 3.5 million. If you'll notice in Brian's suggestions, there are some big ticket items there, because he does have most of Bungay Road on there, Mountain Road. I mean, those roads by themselves are almost $1 million each. So That's what I want you to look at. The other chart that Brian had up, figure number 2, which is the chip sealing, or excuse me, oh God. Oh, crack sealing. I don't believe I said chip sealing. But those are the things that will be addressed by the proactive money that we have built into the accounts. So we should be able to do the vast majority of this crack sealing as well as repair of those roads. Like I said earlier, I'll have a timeline put together by tomorrow afternoon. We're working with bond counsel to determine how this needs to be done, and then we'll make the decisions, and like last time, we will put this out to the residents to decide if they want to spend the money to repair the roads and repair the buildings. It will be ultimately in their hands. But we'll need to have a determination as to the roads that we'll be targeting. Sure.
When you put together your chart for the roads, what consideration did you take for the roads that are heavily traveled by school buses?
Can you grab your mic, just as a, so people can hear better? Thanks.
We didn't focus particularly just on the school buses, but we did prioritize the streets just on heavy use, and some of the roads that are used heavily are also used heavily by the school buses.
Because obviously Bungay Road, you've got a school, you've got Bungay School, you've got the high school,
Mhm.
and you have the new middle school. Well, I call it the new middle school. There are tons of buses that use those roads, not just Bungay Road, but also Mountain Road.
Sure. And I have both those roads on the priority list.
Okay, I just wondered if there was consideration for the heavy school traffic.
Not the school traffic particularly, but heavy traffic, yes, which I think are related in some way.
Okay.
Well, that's why
I
everybody.
can certainly look at it, though. Look at the routes and see if they overlap.
Well, if everyone can go through, figure 1, and come back for our next meeting, we'll definitely have a discussion like we did last time, and we'll narrow that list down to what the 7 of us feel are the roads that should be addressed next spring. The rest will be addressed with the proactive money each year until we look at potentially another bond issue, which would be 2 to 3 years from now, another big chunk. So, questions, comments, thoughts? I know it's a lot to digest in one shot. Anyone who wants the backup, Brian will be turning that into a PDF soon.
It's about 100 megabytes, so we're going to have to either put it on a disk or
Yeah.
or put it on a Dropbox or something.
So if you want it, we can make arrangements to get that to you if you need. We're going to keep a copy of that
That's
in my
yours.
office. Okay, and then Brian will obviously keep a copy in his office as well, so we don't lose all this work. Town will be budgeting, as Brian mentioned, every year as part of its road program to have this book redone. But it'll be smaller amounts, so we can review these roads and stay on top of things. But more importantly, so figure 2 can be addressed every year, which will be the crack sealing. So again, we're investing a lot in these roads. We need to make sure that we're maintaining them so they last the proper amount of time that they're supposed to, so. Okay?
Just out of curiosity, I know you visually inspected the roads that went out and did the work. With regard to public works and how much attention they're paying these roads, does that factor into your decision making? Maybe I missed it. I know right now we have a system in place that they're actually tracking what it costs to repair, for example, Buckingham Drive versus Bellevue Terrace. or something like that.
Mhm.
We have that information. Is that valuable, or is that something that would be?
I didn't take it into account, and thing is, I don't really know the history of what they've done over the past 5 years, and it's a new DPW director, obviously, so there's a lot of new ideas that's coming from him. So no, I didn't really focus on it particularly.
But that can be used, to your point, though, in helping determine what roads we go to first. To Brian's point, we have more than half our roads are C or worse. So, we have quite a selection. We have about 3 months' worth of data now in the new system with Tony, and in your packets, as part of correspondence, you see his monthly report. So you can see a lot of that's in there, so,
Well, it may not be, it may be too early to use it, but
yeah.
In talking to DPW, both Tony and Frank and a few others down there, they've voiced that this is a great idea, and they haven't felt that there has been a program even in place for the past 20 years.
There's no criticism, I was just curious.
No, no, I'm just
Okay.
mentioning that DPW itself didn't seem like they had any kind of program.
What else? Questions, comments, thoughts? Anything? No? Okay. Thank you very
you.
much, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll give Brian a second or two to break down his PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we can give you a screen.
High tech here.
It's all business. Sure. Rory knows how to set all that stuff up, so.
High tech, Rory.
That's right. High-tech Rory. All right, item number, no, we did item number 6, excuse me. Item number 7, discussion take possible action regarding Smoke in the Valley location change request. Matt Bronson was unable to attend tonight. Tommy Amy's here, so he'll kind of pitch in and help out a little bit. But what Smoke in the Valley is requesting is a move from the community center up to Matthews Park, up in the industrial park. They feel that this would be a benefit not only to them, which would save them some money in fencing costs as well as police, but also a benefit to the town. Number one, I think it would be a little easier to park up there because we have parking lots and they have agreements in place with several of the businesses up there. Number two, the downtown business owners are never happy, understandably so, because we have to work very hard to make sure the downtown isn't bottled up, and unfortunately you have some people who may have had too much to drink, potentially going into stores and things like that, so that hurts them. But they also feel that it will just better suit what they need to do, having it up on the hill. Now, Tom, this is something I talked to quickly with Tommy about, so I don't know if you want to add to that, Tom, in your capacity as Emergency Management Director.
Tom Amy, 50 Laurel Lane, Emergency Management Director. This, going back a year and a half ago, Deputy Chief Sikowski and I presented this thought process to Smoke in the Valley because we really wanted it out of downtown Seymour. It was growing. The marriage between Seymour Pink and Nat we thought was too fragile. They didn't want to hurt them, so the idea was tabled. Fast forward to a couple weeks ago, the church, Congregational Church, has a wedding planned at 3 o'clock on that Saturday. Seymour Pink is growing, very big, and she can now stand alone and needs the room to stand alone by herself with her program. Therefore, Smoke in the Valley on a Sunday afternoon called me, and we revisited Matthews Park and a section of roadway between Cogwheel and Silvermine and the driveways of R&R and Allen's Plumbing up there. That's 600 feet of roadway. They felt their venue would fit in there perfectly with some discussions and some minor alterations. On Monday, I discussed it with First Selectmen, discussed it with Tony Caserta and Bill Peck. Later that week, Bill Peck, Tony Caserta, and I took a ride up there, and we walked around, we looked at different things. Commissioner Peck discussed his thought process and what he would like to see if there was issues to resolve a couple of things. I think we've met that already, but again, we've been proactive with everyone. This will allow us to shut the downtown area for Seymour Pink. Mrs. Demi's group can now use the entire community center for her after. She's not rushed. Use her after for her comments, her awards and everything with everybody. They're cleared out. The church has plenty of time to set up for their wedding. And again, the downtown with the merchants and everything, we've all heard it together about not too happy about it, but they tolerate it. Move the venue up there. Very few people you're going to displace up there. Plenty of parking up there. And I think it's a win-win for everybody.
And again, Matt had a family emergency, so he apologizes not being here in person. But he did let me know that if the selectmen were open to this change, all of it would be pending approval from the Liquor Control, final sign-off from the Seymour Police Department, the Seymour Parks Department, obviously Rich being comfortable with all of that. And they will be spending time next week going up to all the businesses in the industrial park, just to let them know of the plan, to make sure that it's not going to interfere. It shouldn't. There should be, traffic flow should be okay, with the exception of, as Tom had mentioned, from the top of Cogwheel to John Allen's property, essentially the length of the field will be blocked off. So that's where we stand. So what is everyone's thoughts and comments?
My only thought is, I know how they have the beer and the drinking, or else nothing about it. Would that be on that field itself, because there is a fence there, so that I would assume, not really, I assume that that would be where the people are, because it's gated and it's,
That's my understanding. They were going to use the street for food trucks. With the additional space, they're talking about making it a little bit more family-friendly, where they can put some food trucks up on the top. So if, a family wanted to come, they could potentially, the wife could bring the kids, the husband could go have a beer, vice versa, make it a little bit more of a family atmosphere as opposed to only people. I know I was going to get myself in trouble as soon as I said that, but I got the flip-flop in there. So, not yet, hold on. So, they want to make it a little bit more family-friendly than it has been, and that will allow that to happen, because my understanding, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, they'll have a lot of those events down on the field, inside the fenced area. The street and the parking lot will be able to be used for some other things. Yeah.
I'm assuming, I'm going under the assumption that the fire department and EMS personnel and obviously the police department are happier moving it away from downtown collectively. I'm assuming all of them are happy with that approach. I know you remember.
What it does.
Again,
microphone. Sorry.
It's a tough crowd.
What it does, between the police department, and emergency management, police department, myself, and Tim Willis, it controls the venue a little bit better. We've already done preliminary discussions with EMS, and they're going to probably go down to just a flight car. There's no reason to do an ambulance staging. Going off the fire marshal's office side of it, Tim feels that we're going to go down to just a fire watch at best. 2 firefighters with the gator. That's at the most it'll be needed, if that at all. So it gives us, all emergency services, kind of gives them a breather and a controlled area. And again, the idea was to put everyone in the beer areas, the beer tents will be on the field using the natural fence from the ball field to isolate and control better. Interesting to say, we did not have a diagram of the water piping for the irrigation for the field. So what we're doing is all their tents are going to be done with water barrels to hold them in place. So we've gone a ways in thinking on the layout of this.
Yeah, just the first thing that comes to mind, maybe the recommendations. I'm assuming the police department is going to have somebody down at the bottom, is that Silvermine Road or Cogwheel, whichever. It's a difficult intersection coming off of Route 67, and if there's going to be a heck of a lot of traffic coming out of there, I'm assuming we're going to have somebody down there to direct traffic.
The deputy chief will start the end of this week with a package,
Sure.
and what he wants to do. He's got to review it a couple of weeks to put the whole program together.
And the last recommendation I have is, more for this board. Can you change the name of the park to the Technology Park beforehand? So that it actually has an up-to-date Silvermine Technology Park, whatever you want to call it. I think, we could call it Gary Technology Park. But,
Gary Park 2.
I think it was the recommendation of the Economic Development Director that we change
Yep.
the name of the park. Maybe it would make sense if we're gonna start having traffic up there to change it ahead of time. Just a thought.
That's something that we can certainly look at for next month. That's not a problem at all.
You don't have to
It
go
will
down
interfere
to
with the
67, you
transfer
can go
station
out
being
the
closed.
back
Yep.
way. I can't.
Past that
think of the
intersection.
road.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to go.
Yeah.
But a lot of
Like
people
where the
are gonna go.
reservoir used to be.
Right.
There's 2 ways to go, but I'm sure people are going to be told.
It's all going to depend on, too, where they've parked, and we should be able to control where they're parking with directional signs and how they
Correct.
leave.
Cogwheel is wide enough. Deputy Chief, I have measured it. You can do parking on either side and still have 2 lanes of traffic going. So besides the businesses up there, there is ample room for everything.
Right.
And the businesses might allow them to park inside their parking lot.
Well, they have existing relationships, because they normally would run shuttle buses back and forth, so I would expect those relationships would continue.
That's what we've gotten done so far, so.
But again, they need, I guess, the blessing from this board for that to take place, to allow them now to go to liquor control and finalize all their plans.
I think it sounds like a great idea.
I agree, I make a motion.
Okay, motion is made by Karen, second by Anne Marie. Is there any discussion or further comments? But Rich, I just want to add to the motion, if this is okay, pending sign-off of Liquor Control, Seymour Police, Seymour Parks, Town Council.
Sure.
Is that okay, Karen?
That's fine.
Emery?
Yeah.
Okay, just to make sure that that's in there. So, and again, I had discussion with Matt earlier today. He's aware of all that, so. Okay, any other comments, thoughts? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Tommy. Okay, item number 8, we're gonna, well, actually, can I have a motion to table item number 8?
Second.
Motion by Nicole, second by Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Okay. Excuse me, and item number 9, discussion take possible action regarding tax abatement for Amanda Skellington. I handed out to you tonight, you should have a letter from the Seymour Ambulance Association Deputy Chief Brian Ryan. It says, "Dear First Selectman Miller." Everyone have it? Yep, okay. While compiling the list for tax abatement recipients for the volunteers of Seymour Ambulance Association in 2015, I did not notice Amanda Skellington. Amanda had not identified for me that she owned real property on the grand list of 2014. She has since then indicated this to me. As such, I am requesting that you consider providing the tax abatement afforded to other eligible volunteers of the Seymour Ambulance Association. Amanda meets all the requirements set forth under the Town of Seymour ordinances and the SAA point system to receive up to $1,000 abatement. Please accept my apology for this oversight and consider her name for inclusion on the 2015 tax abatement list. Thank you for your time and consideration to this matter. Sincerely, Brian Ryan, Deputy Chief. Okay, and also a CC to Tax Collector Dana Flock. All right, so at this point, I'll entertain a motion to include Amanda Skellington as part of the 2015 tax abatement list in the amount of $1,000 as recommended by Seymour Ambulance Deputy Chief Brian Ryan.
So moved.
A motion by Karen, second by Nicole. Is there any discussion? Rich, any comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 10, discussion take possible action regarding tax abatement for the George J. Hummel Little League. Excuse me, in your package, you should have a letter. It says, "Dear board members, the George J. Hummel Little League is requesting the Board of Selectmen to waive the payment of taxes in the amount of $6,131.16 for the property at Casa Grande Field, as you have in the past. The property was donated to the Little League by the Casa Grande family with the clause that if the league should dissolve, the property would revert back to the family. Because of this clause, the Little League has been taxed. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully, William Regani, who is the president of Little League." So at this point, I'll entertain a motion for the town of Seymour to waive the July 2016 and the January 2017 tax bills to the Seymour Little League for a total amount of $6,131.16.
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, second by Anne Marie. Just under discussion, this is something that we do every year. But any comments, thoughts? No? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item number 11, which is discussion, take possible action regarding proposed ordinance changes. And we have 4 ordinances that the committee has been working on that we would like to make recommendations back to this board for possible action. So we'll start with number A, which is the Historic Landmark Preservation Ordinance. The committee has no updates or recommendations yet for this board. We are still reviewing, going through some different things, compiling some information. So this is something that will be ongoing. But I just wanted to see before we move on if anybody had any additional thoughts or comments for the board. Or the committee, I should say, excuse me. Okay. All right, so that is 11A. 11B, which is Justices of the Peace. As we discussed, and Rich gave us some information last time, we can have anywhere between 15 and it seems like 50,000 justices of the peace based on Connecticut general statutes. One of the things that the committee had talked about was having an equal distribution of Justice of the Peace for Republicans, Democrats, and unaffiliated voters. We'd kick some numbers around. At the meeting on Monday, we came up with the number of 45 total Justices of the Peace, 15 for Republicans, 15 for Democrats, and 15 for unaffiliated voters to make it fair for everyone. So that's, at least from the committee meeting, what we wanted to put forward to this board. So let's start with any thoughts, comments, questions, different ideas. Karen, you can weigh in, because you were.
I think it's a nice round number, I really do. Some of our JPs are getting a little bit older, no offense to anybody,
Uh-oh.
no offense. But some of them may not be as mobile
Mhm.
as they used to be. And not including my husband, who happens to be one of the JPs.
Is he mobile?
Oh, he's mobile,
mobile?
all right. He
All right.
just did a wedding. But I mean, there are people who are younger than he is, and there are people who are older than he is. And I think, 45 is a nice round number. And, as we need to replace JPs, I think 45 is a good number.
Okay. Anyone else, comments?
Yeah. Maybe I haven't heard all the arguments, but I don't think I've heard a real good reason why it shouldn't be a number so high that it shouldn't even really come into play. So I'm just trying to get the thought process behind going with such a small number as 45.
So you wanna see it more than 45, more than 45?
I think we should go as close to the maximum as possible because I don't think this should really be an issue ever again. Yeah,
Well-
but that would.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would render it a non-issue for, any amount of foreseeable future.
So what was the thinking behind the committee?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get your idea of why 45 is a good number.
We wanted to make sure that there was, and I don't want to speak for Karen Nicole, but we wanted to make sure that there was enough availability so we could anyone could find a Justice of the Peace if one was needed. But at the same time, there wasn't too many, so it was oversaturated with Justice of the Peace, because what happens, it becomes kind of just a name-only type
Yeah.
thing. They'll
Yeah.
never have any activity. We wanted to make sure it was fairly distributed amongst all Republicans, Democrats, and other unaffiliated, so everybody has a fair opportunity. So, but we're not saying that 45 is the number. It could be higher if that is the, will of the group. There's no.
Well, I guess follow-up would be, is there a line of people trying to get in that would, oversaturate the number that you've seen?
I think if you put it out there, you would. Until you get a lot of names. I mean, I can speak from the Republican process. I'm not a Justice of the Peace because there's people in line that want to do it. And quite frankly, they're ahead of me in that line, so.
And it's not that difficult to get that position.
Well, it's just a vote of the town committees, and they make the recommendations as
Right.
to who they are,
Right.
so. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to making it more,
I mean, I see where you're coming from.
but I wouldn't want,
just-
I wouldn't, I think 1,000 would be too many.
Are you
but-
recommending a number?
I would recommend the maximum number. That would be my recommendation, but.
The
Really?
maximum number?
The maximum number is 1,369
Each,
total.
total.
Divided by
Oh. So,
Minimum number is 15.
right, so we'd be.
You have a lot of room there.
So we'd be looking at about 400 each.
Or anything that
Give or
would,
take.
100 each would be fine. Any number that makes it so anybody who wants to do it can do it.
All right, so what's everyone's thoughts then? We have 45 and 300, excuse me. 400, excuse me, 400.
I would suggest picking a number that divides easily by 3.
I would pick a total of 300 then. That would be my recommendation. That's
All right, so 100 each. Yep, okay.
Just clarify my ignorance on the subject. I don't know very much about justices of the peace. I've never really paid much attention because it's never been something I've been interested in doing, but why is there a line?
I mean,
Well,
Because,
what's the,
married
what,
people.
people want to
they can marry
perform
people.
marriage ceremonies, I understand that, but what's the, is there a charge for this? Do people make money off of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ignorant on the subject, I'm just asking.
I think for some people too, it's the prestige of being a justice of the peace.
I think some people like it.
Yeah.
It's a service, and they like being able to marry people. And
That's why I want
Take
to do it. I'm gonna be
oaths
honest. I wouldn't charge. I would just want to marry people. I think
Okay.
That's.
So let me make another argument.
I just think that would be fun.
Let me make another argument. Kind of, as I'm in the same boat as Len, I've never thought of this until it came up. But, why should, and again, if this is not correct, let me know. I mean, why should the town put a limit on it? So if somebody wants a particular person to marry them, they have to be limited by the parties in town picking their justice of the peace.
Well, I think they're still gonna have to be named initially. So even though I may want Rich to marry me, as an example, if hasn't been appointed a justice of the peace, he wouldn't be able to do it.
True. Okay, so,
So,
but most people plan their wedding at least a year in advance, and this happens, we would have to appoint them how often?
I believe they're every 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Rory's nodding his head 2 years. So the recommendations generally come from the town committees, and I'm not sure how the unaffiliates come in, to be honest with you. I mean, I can only speak to what the RTC does, and
Mhm.
they reach out to different people, they ask when spots become open.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If there's a demand, could we revisit this and vote in a higher number, or is this something that's going to be set in stone?
Well, it's an ordinance. We have to go through the process of changing the ordinance. You have to put it in the newspaper, so there's expense to it. So, I mean, to Stefan's point, if, we had consideration of making it bigger, I think we should just make it bigger now and not go through
How if we move to 50?
the hassle.
150.
All we can do is, would 50?
30, or, I mean, what
mean, I-
number? Do you have a
They have
number?
to understand, when people become justice of peace, you have to understand, if you're agreeing to marry somebody, you have to be open about marrying people. I mean, you can't just pick, you could pick and choose, but you're sort of tied to the letter of the law in agreeing to, yes, I'm gonna marry, a male and a woman, I'm gonna marry a man and a man, I'm gonna marry a woman and a woman. If you don't agree to that, you can't, you're gonna run into that whole
Right.
issue.
Well, I'm sure you can imagine that would never be an issue for myself,
Definitely
but,
not.
I think more options would kind of alleviate that
I
issue.
think so too.
So I mean, I understand the people who are justices of the peace may say, okay, well, I want to be able to keep my name, on everybody's mind when they have to come up with somebody to marry them. But I think if you want to be a justice of the peace, I don't really think it should be, at the discretion of parties in town to pick their favorite people to be the justice of the peace. So I think we should, that's why I think we should put it at a number where anybody who, sincerely wants to be a justice of the peace should have really no hurdles to being a justice of the peace.
And if I may, Mr. First Selectman, a justice of the peace may administer oaths, sign affidavits after administering oaths, acknowledge legal written documents, perform marriage ceremonies. I've never seen this done in 35 years of practice. Take depositions and issue subpoenas to compel witnesses to attend such depositions.
Giddy up.
Subpoena witnesses to appear before the Board of Police Commissioners of any municipality. I've also never seen that done in 35 years. And issue tax warrants. So those are all the statutory powers of a justice of the peace.
Now I really want to be a justice.
Maybe
of
we
the
should
peace.
be on the
That's
forefront
fantastic.
of justice of the peace duties, huh?
In order to actually perform those duties, though, if somebody wants to issue a tax warrant, they have to be asked to do so or appointed to do so by the town,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, the tax collector has the authority to actually give the tax warrant.
I just heard I can take depositions. You're all in trouble.
Again, asking from a point of ignorance here, this is a I consider this to be a nonpartisan office.
Right.
I can't imagine why this would ever be a partisan office, knowing full well that there are two major parties in Seymour. There are other minor parties in Seymour that are represented, and the unaffiliated voter group is not represented by anybody. There's no official unaffiliated voter party. How does that work? I mean, allotting the unaffiliateds 15 justices of the peace, who makes the determination on behalf of the unaffiliated voters?
Town
How does
clerk.
that work?
Town clerk.
Sound clear?
So it's basically just a first come, first serve? See, from that point of view, I find it troubling to limit the competition. I mean, if that's what limiting the number really means, is if it's either limiting competition or trying to reduce the paperwork that the town clerk has to do, which from a practical standpoint I can understand. But I don't see the point of really choosing, I mean, they're all arbitrary numbers.
Right.
Whether it's
There's no-
15, 100, 1,000, whatever it is, there's 16,000 plus people in Seymour, maybe we all should be justice of the peace, I don't care.
Right.
But the bottom line is it's an arbitrary number. I don't see the point of restricting it to such a low number if it is allotted by party.
And towns and cities are all over the map
Yeah, and
when it comes to the numbers they have.
there was a question as to the term, and I thought this was the case. Justices are selected during the year of the presidential election and serve a 4-year term.
What's the most common in Connecticut? They're all over the map. What is the most
I
common?
I think they're all over the map.
Reason to 'em.
I do think they're considerably less than 100. The numbers I've heard and seen over the years, but, you know, you have a lot of discretion. You go 15 to 1,369.
My original thinking with making it just, obviously making it the maximum is by all counts ridiculous, but, I think making it a really high number takes the political party aspect out of this, which I think common sense, would call for, despite it, being the law of the land. I don't think it makes sense to have this be a partisan issue in any way. So that's why I personally am for a higher number.
Till 50? 100?
I mean, I think
each.
To be honest with you,
Talking
50. I
each.
think 50. A party or group is more than sufficient.
So 50 each.
That's fine with
So
me.
150 total?
If that's a number that people are more comfortable wrapping their head around, that's fine with me.
I don't,
Can I just say, Fred has been Justice of the Peace for as long as I've known him. I mean, as an attorney, it's just an easy fit. It just is. It's never been political. Like I said, he just did a wedding. There was nothing political about it. In fact, I wrote the wedding ceremony.
I don't think that's what Stefan meant.
No. What I mean is, I don't think
that's what he meant.
I don't think.
At all.
No. I don't care who marries who. I don't think anybody really is
Yeah.
going to pick their justice of the peace based along party lines. If
Yeah.
there's a better candidate out there,
Right.
I'm saying is I don't think I'm on the DTC, you guys are on the RTC. I don't think myself or you guys should have any power in picking narrowing down a list. If there's 18 people who want to get on, I don't think either town committee should say, well, these 3 people aren't going to do it this year. They can wait 4 years.
I'll be honest. I mean, to Stefan's point, there are a lot of people out there that may say, well, I want to get married by a justice of the peace, but I want to pick who I want.
Mhm.
And if that individual they want to choose for whatever reason, say it's a family member or somebody that's really important to them, doesn't have an opportunity to be a JP because they're blocked, maybe in the best interest of the townspeople, if it ever comes up, maybe it does make sense to have a higher number.
Maybe this will never come up, and honestly, it may not. But I don't want to be honest with you, if I'm on this board another 30 years, I don't want to ever talk about this again. I don't think it needs to be done. I really don't. It shouldn't be an issue.
Stefan moves for 300 and something each. Well, Rich, seriously, to that point, let's say we went to 300. So 100 each, 100 Republican, 100 Democrat, 100 unaffiliated. Obviously, you're not going to be able to fill all those spots. So let's say the Democrats come up with 42, the Republicans come up with 63, the unaffiliates come up with, 87. Just make numbers up. Can justices of the peace then be added during that 4-year period?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Because to that point, let's say, Stefan decides he's going to get married and he wants Al to do it. Al's not a justice of the peace. Could at that point Al go down to the town clerk's office and, assuming there's space, then be able to be appointed justice of the peace?
That's my question. 'Cause
I think that's kinda where
my
you're-
brother's actually done that for friends in California.
And I mean, if you need to
The
research.
town
that,
clerk, I can give a quick answer. The town clerk notifies the Secretary of State of any vacancies. Vacancies in justice positions are allocated to major parties, can be filled by appointment by the town committee of the political party of the vacating justice of the peace for the remainder of the term. So there's your answer on that. Vacancies in the non-major party justice positions may only be filled if there had been more applications received by the town clerk between August 1 and November 1 of the last presidential election year than there were non-major party justice positions to be filled. If an excess of such applications had been received during the application period, the town clerk held a lottery and established a list. All applicants, based upon the order of their names, were drawn in that original lottery. Only persons on that list may be appointed to fill vacancies in these non-major party justice positions. So it gets complicated.
Right.
Because I think you said it, Mr. First Selectman, historically, it has been my experience that there are more folks who want to be justices of the peace, at least on the town committees, than there have been spots over the years. So there are always people waiting for a spot to open up so they can move in. It is, as you can see, it's complicated if it's a non-affiliate.
How many on the Democratic Town Committee?
Total people?
50?
40.
40?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 50.
So if
So if you
there,
make it number higher than 40 and 50.
Yeah, and I think also, since it sounds a little more complicated to do it as an unaffiliated, if somebody is, desperately wants somebody else to marry them, there's nothing stopping them from switching party affiliations and groveling to the party that they go to and saying, hey, can you appoint me? I'm sure parties will not have an issue with that.
Well, if
So-
we make it 100, though, to your point,
Do
I don't
100
think either town committee, I don't think I don't think we'll get 300, I'd be
No.
surprised.
So I'm
If
just
we
talking
got
about
300
unaffiliated.
JP, so there should be space for that person who wants to come in
Yeah, yeah.
at that point and do that. So I'd be okay with that reason. I have no,
I'd be good with 100, just like
Yeah,
you
we should just do 100
Len?
each and,
and again, this is just us, what we're gonna put
Yeah, yeah.
forward to the hearing in 2 weeks to let people, but we need to have a number out there so they know what it is. Okay.
And as an aside, I don't think I really want to be known as the crusader for justice of the peace reform,
will
but
be.
apparently
Will
this
be.
is my thing now. So
yeah, I got
All I know is that I'm switching parties, I'm going to the DTC, and I'm nominating you as Justice of the Peace.
yeah, well, we'll see how that goes.
That's right. You voted down. So, all right, so everybody's comfortable with 100?
Yes.
100, so 300 total,
yeah.
100 Republicans, 100 Democrats, and 100 unaffiliated voters. We're all good with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we will update the ordinance accordingly, and we'll have that ready for when we get to item number 12, when we vote on the public hearing. But that's what we'll put out the public hearing. Okay, perfect. All right, 11C. Sorry? Okay. 11C, which is the street excavation ordinance. This one we've talked about a little bit for a while now. We asked, Don Smith had initially put this together, asked Brian to review it as well, and he's gone through that. What I want to do is put this in its entirety, what you have in front of you, out to the residents to let them provide feedback on it. But just to kind of sum it up in a nutshell, if we're spending all this time, energy, and money on our roads, we want to make sure that if the roads need to be opened, that they're done the right way, that they are repaired and patched the proper way. So this will put a very strict plan in place, but also the town will be responsible for putting on the final patch, which is something that the contractors will be, they will make a payment to the town will have a company on, I guess, retainer, for lack of a better term, that they will come and they will do that final patch. Everything will be examined by town engineers to make sure that it's done the proper way, so we stop seeing those dips in every single road where pipe work has been done and so on and so forth. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to take this out of the purview of Public Works and put it entirely into the hands of the town engineer, so that way there is no, nothing is dropped. The engineer is out doing the inspections in a timely fashion to make sure everything is proper. Any questions on that? Because Brian is here, he can answer in a little bit more depth than I can on anything.
Has any other town actually put this to use to try to alleviate the issue of whatever you call it, dips in the roadway?
Well, Ansonia, close by,
Someone
uses
did the
it.
same thing?
Yeah.
And it's working, it's having an effect? Not too soon to tell?
Ansonia's had this for a while, so.
Yeah, they've had it for a while. I don't know the effectiveness of it, but it certainly is a much more aggressive way than a lot of towns do it. And just in the 5 months that I've been on this job, I've gone around and I've seen a bunch of patches that have been done on the brand new roads,
Oh, yeah, you can see.
and we have no idea how those were backfilled in place. So
Right.
I think it's aggressive, but I think it's a great plan. And it should protect a lot of the money that you guys are spending, or we are spending on these roads.
And, we can't say for sure, but some of these patches could have been done, and then they come in to take the permit, different things like that, so. And so we've seen some of the new roads that were done last August have already been opened, which is not a good thing. And if they're just doing a small spot, well, that's gonna lead to issues down the road as opposed to going curb to curb like they're supposed to, or at least to the crown of the road, different things like that, so.
And this is cost neutral?
Yes,
Could be.
yes. Yep, the engineering fees, the cost for the inspection, everything will be built into the cost of the permit, and then we will come up with a square yard charge for the cost of putting the actual patch in. So everything will be paid for by the contractor. No cost to the town. You okay with that one? Okay, good. Thank you, Brian, for the help. Okay, and then the last one is the strategic planning ordinance, and we've already talked about this one. They are asking, this being the Strategic Planning Commission, that we change quarterly to semi-annual when it comes to reporting, and meet with the first selectman, finance director, and director of operations. They want to change it to meet with the first selectman and the staff he or she deems necessary. So does anyone have any issue with that language? They would like the reports to be done in April and October of each year. So if there's no issues with any of that, Rich, any comments on any of these? Okay.
I'll just say this, in terms of the street opening ordinance, there is an issue I want to take a look at, and it deals with PURA and the public utilities, and we'll take a look at it. I seem to recall some decisions. And if the Ansonia ordinance is only 5 months old, they may not have come across.
Oh, I think it's a little older than that.
Is it older?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
10
been
years
around
old.
for a while. Yeah.
I still want to take a look at some PURA stuff.
And there are other towns.
I mean, our goal is not to block anyone, it's just to make sure it's done the proper way. And we know that some of those are the worst offenders. Yeah, so, okay. All right, so we'll move on to item number 12. Item number 12 is set public hearing for August 2nd, 2016 at 6:30 PM in the Norma Drummer Room to discuss ordinances forwarded from the Ordinance Committee, those being Justice of the Peace, Street Excavation, and Strategic Planning. Can I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, second by Anne Marie. Is there any discussion? Okay, just under discussion, we'll have the changes that we talked about tomorrow cleaned up, and then Roy will get those down to the town clerk, up to the library, and out on the website, so people can start to review and be ready for the public hearing. Okay, if there's no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, item number 13, appointments. We have 2 appointments tonight. Jeffrey Hanowitz, Planning and Zoning Commission alternate. It's an appointment, it's a 2-year term. It expires December 4th, 2017.
So moved.
Motion by Al, second by Stefan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Richard Luby, Livable Communities Committee. It's a new appointment. The term is until completion of the committee.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, second by Stefan. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Okay, item number 14, tax refunds and abatements. Nicole.
The following overpayments of tax payments in total of $1,355.53 need to be approved for refund in accordance with the provisions of Section 12-129 of the Connecticut General Statutes, dated at Seymour, the 15th day of July, 2016, Dana Flock, Tax Office.
Thank you, Nicole. And I have a motion to accept the tax collector's report as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, second by Anne Marie. Just under discussion, everybody make sure there's no issues. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item number 15, transfers. We do have one transfer before us, which is control number 12. And it is in the amount of $22,358.49, becoming out of contingency, and will be going into the fire hydrant line. This is under control of the fire marshal and under explanation. The transfer will cover shortage in the hydrant account. The shortage is due to a change in billing from quarterly billing to monthly billing. The first quarter billing covered 6/2/2015 through 8/28/2015 period. So you can see attached the two bills. The previous bill that we received was $87,312.95, and when they changed the cycle, we received a bill for $30,532. It's still the same amount, it's just a matter of when the money's coming in with the end of the fiscal year.
So would it correspond the other way at some point?
Other won't, well, yes, we should be over budgeted in fiscal year 17 because of this. So. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve control number 12, a transfer in the amount of $22,358.49 from contingency vacuum truck, line 530873, to hydrants, line 560411, requested by Fire Marshal Paul Wedowitz.
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, second by Al. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. This will be forwarded to the Board of Finance for their meeting next Tuesday. Okay, correspondence, we have a few pieces of correspondence. We have a letter from the Connecticut State Library, just letting us know that we did receive the $4,000 Historic Documents Preservation Grant, which we do every year, which is very nice. We have the June 2016 accomplishments of productivity report from the Public Works Department, and we have the check register. All right, item number 15, public comment. Is there any public comment? Please go to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, Mr. Walsh. I'd love it if you sang.
Gordon likes one.
Not really a comment, just,
I like the way you tilted the mic like that. It's nice control.
I don't know if I'll be here for the August hearing, just two things on the ordinances, if you guys could look into. And I, again, much like everybody else, don't know much about the justice of the peace, but with other things, if you up the number, the only thing I would check, and Rich probably might know this off the top of his head, if you come up with a crazy arbitrary high number, and you do not fill all the vacancies, is there any kind of penalties or anything that we don't get grants, anything like that? So if you're supposed to, I don't know how it works.
We can check,
I
yep.
know we've run into that with other stuff where if you're supposed to have 20 and you only have 18, you don't get X and Y and Z from the Secretary of State. The other thing on the road opening, again, I'd like to see a copy of it, and I don't know if it'll be here in August, but the one concern I have is if you take the end product and you put the responsibility on the town to pick the company and do the final paving, do we now assume all the liability because we're the final one to touch the project? I would look into that. I mean, you may have information in there to cover that, but it's like anything else. The last person, if we're the last one to touch it and then something goes wrong down underneath the ground, do we assume all the responsibility because we're the last one to put the cap on it? So you might want to check that. Thanks.
Thank you, John. It's very fragile. Please don't drop it. Are there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. We'll move on to item number 18, Selectmen's public comment. Stefan.
All right, so it's my understanding from the last, I believe it was the last Board of Finance meeting, that that the police department transferred a few vehicles over to different departments, one of which was earmarked for the first Selectmen's office. I'm just wondering if you could shed some light on what that will be used for.
Well, that's not correct, but
Okay, that's just what my understanding was, so.
yeah, the town hall
Town hall?
globally receives the police cars when they come on a cycle, and we scatter them about. So currently, unused police cars, one is at the community center, and two are here. One is dead up at the transfer station because the transmission blew.
Good.
One of the cars out here, we had an issue with the axle, which is cracked. So that will be going. The one up at the transfer station will be going. The Expedition that is in the parking lot, that will be going to emergency management. The emergency management car will be coming to Town Hall. One of the police cars coming from that will be going to just the reserve, because the cars are used by myself, economic developments, planning and zoning, blight, inland wetlands, and the assessor. So, I currently do not have, the first selectman currently does not have a car.
No, I wasn't accusing you of having.
Oh, no,
a
no,
car,
no,
I just-
no, no. I mean, listen, if you guys would like to get me a car, I would be more than happy to accept one. But, you know, I do have use of those cars, and one of the, and I'll be honest in the front, I did ask the police department for one of the newer cars to be made available to Town Hall,
Mhm.
so it can be used for going to meetings and things. It doesn't give the best representation of the town of Seymour when town officials show up in a beat-up 1992 Crown Victoria. You know, so it would be nice if one of the newer Tauruses coming off was made available too.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I won't drive those cars. I just don't feel safe in them.
Alright, I hear you. So the other thing is, in the wake of everything going on around the country, I wonder if it might be a good idea to have a town hall type forum with representatives from the police department. Maybe give the community an opportunity to sit down with people. I know that there was the Citizens Police Academy,
Mhm.
which I'm sure a lot of people made good use of, but I think it might be prudent to explore getting maybe the chief in here, the resource officer, and open it up to the public, maybe do it, just once or just, a couple times so people can come ask any kind of questions they have, make sure, our officers are being safe and, keeping the public safe. So I think that would be a good idea. I'd like to hear some ideas.
So just police or all public safety?
I think all public safety would be good. Obviously, right now, police are in the headlines in a big way and in everybody's thoughts. So I think that would, it might go a long way to show that the community is, I think you'll see that the community is very much behind the police department, but, I think opening up a dialogue is a very good thing.
We have our emergency management director in the back, so we can have that conversation tomorrow and see if we can put something together. I don't think it would be an issue for the police department. I doubt it would be an issue for the fire department or EMS as well. It would just be a matter of logistics and, how we would control it and questions and things like that, timing, and so I don't think that would be a problem, so, yeah, so,
I moderated that kind of event.
yeah, so I'll talk to Tommy tomorrow. We can get something
Great.
going.
I'd love to try to get something like that on the schedule.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds to me like you volunteered to help get that going.
Well, I will certainly be there, and I'll do anything I can to help it out.
There we go,
Well,
okay.
I'm a champion of many things, apparently, so. That's all I have tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Karen?
I agree with Stefan's last remark. I think that would be a wonderful idea to get the community together in light of what's going on. I mean, I know we're not a carry state, I don't know if that's what you call it, where they can carry their guns out in the open.
We are. We absolutely
We
are.
are?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, I didn't know that.
All the more reason to have a
Yeah.
community
Okay,
forum.
well, I agree with you, Stefan, I do. The only other thing I have is what I brought up at the last meeting. Are we working on replacing that sign on the corner of Botsford and Canfield?
Sign on the corner, Boswell and Canfield.
Across from Pauline Lounsbury's house, somebody stole that sign.
Oh, street sign, yes.
Street sign.
Yes, yes. Okay, I didn't know what sign you were talking about, so I apologize.
Yeah, it's street sign.
Yeah, street signs, yes. Yep. Requests get put in and they get put up as they come in.
Okay. That's it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. Nicole?
The only thing I do agree with Karen and Stefan about having an open forum discussing with our emergency management personnel. I think it's a great idea. Get the residents involved, see if they have any concerns, and get it out in the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. You guys are going too fast for me. Al?
Just, two quick comments. Saw the Facebook posts on your Office of First Selectman Facebook page about Gary Park and the renovations and the pictures. That's great that that's out there. I'm thrilled that it's finally getting fixed up. It's desperately needed, and a lot of people will be happy that they're not going over big, huge mounds and taking out the undercarriages of their cars anymore up there on those, in that parking lot. Also, the fact we're adding spots, which I didn't realize, that's a great bonus, so I'm
That's
sure
Brian's
residents
hard
will
work.
be thrilled. Thank you, Brian, and everybody who worked on that, because that's exciting. And also, I saw the Seymour Celebrates notice for August 20th at French Park with the food trucks and the games and events. That looks like a great town event, so I hope that gets advertised adequately. That could be a lot of fun for folks in town, so I hope people attend that. That looks good.
Well, I will certainly be putting a team together with volunteers. I know Stefan will be putting a team in as well. Rory, putting a team in for this.
Bubble soccer?
It's bubble soccer. So you put a ball on and you just run into each other and you try to play soccer at the same time. It's absolutely
So it's a
fantastic.
variation on the sumo outfit.
That's what it
Soccer.
is. That's what it is.
I feel that there's our injuries.
Sounds like a
No,
minor
you're-
league
And that's August
baseball
20th?
You're
event.
encased in a big bubble. It's going to be
Yeah.
You're
fantastic.
still gonna hurt yourself. I'll volunteer my services as the trainer for that event.
Gonna hurt yourself.
That's right.
He's literally gonna be in
Huh?
a bubble.
What? Well, see, that's the concern. It's, I
I'll bring
believe,
it with me.
I believe the games are 15 or 20 minutes, and I'm honestly concerned I can make 15 or 20 minutes inside one of those things. So yes, there will be a defibrillator on
And
hand.
this is August 20th,
It's Saturday, August 20th.
in the middle of like the hottest month of the year.
Yes.
No,
In
this
a
is the hottest
bubble.
month.
And it's the
August
same
20th.
day as the Citizens
This is lobster
Engine
bake.
lobster and steak dinner, so there'll be plenty of time
Do both.
to do both. And you'll work up quite an appetite for either 2 1.5-pound lobsters or a 1-pound steak.
Can't wait.
And that was my shameless plug for Citizens Engines event. So, thank you all. Anne Marie?
Just great news on Gary Park. Thank you, Brian, and your company for adding those bars and doing a great job. I also think about Public Works and the stop bars and painting the lines and getting that done before the school system starts. Would be a good idea. Can't wait to see that. The roads report was nice as well. And Stefan's idea of the town meeting with the police department is an awesome idea. Just to show them that we support them and we're there for them and we're there for each other as a town, as a community. Also, don't forget that the Citizens Carnival is this weekend as well.
Oh, yes, that's correct. I forgot about that. Excellent, thank you, Anne Marie. Al, Len, sorry.
I'll go a lot shorter than now.
That's-
I just want to voice my support for Stefan's idea as well. I think it's a great idea, not only to, hopefully the community, I believe, will support the police department and the rest of emergency management quite a bit, but also to give people the opportunity to ask questions if they have questions, or concerns, and voice them and come together as a community. I think it's a great idea. So, other than that, I have nothing else.
Excellent. Rich, anything you'd like to? Or anything we missed? All right, perfect. If there's no other questions or comments, I will
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
motion by Anne Marie, second by Karen. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Mark the meeting closed at 8:13 PM. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.